What's up, everybody? It's me, just sorry. Did a hard cardio day at the gym, or outside, not at the gym. Yeah. Anyway, what's up, everybody? It's me, just June, back at it again with another reaction. So I've seen a couple people on this Russell Brand, Jordan Peterson little dialogue here. I didn't watch them all the way through because I wanted to kind of blind react to this. But any of y'all know about Jordan Peterson? He's kind of sticking it out for the, the what do they call him? The incel community. He's kind of like the intellectual, like, activist of the incel community. He's like pretty much the white Kevin Samuels. You know what I'm saying? The white, I think, Jewish Kevin Samuels. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna hear a little bit of dialogue between him and Russell Brand. If you know Russell Brand, highly established actor, entrepreneur, very educated, and I'm interested in hearing how this conversation goes. I haven't watched a lot of Jordan Peterson content, but I've heard his name pop up a lot. Let's get into it.
Stay free with me, Russell Brand.
The things that I wanted to start with, given Elon Musk's recent takeover of Twitter, is whether he is a distinct and discrete category of a billionaire. How is he different? How is he the same? And how will Elon Musk's position at Twitter alter your position on Twitter?
Well, that remains to be seen. I'm still banned, so that hasn't changed. I mean, he's suggested that he might reinstate Trump. Whether or not that means he reinstate me is a matter of question. It isn't obvious to me that the people who run the social media networks know exactly how to regulate them with any degree of utility. You know, I've probably read 100,000 comments online, or maybe more, and I've tried to read them with a psychologist's eye. And there are some things going on online that are, I think, that actually pose a threat to the integrity of the culture itself. The biggest problem that I can see is that the large online platforms allow anonymous troll demons to rampage through society.
Anonymous troll demons. That is some buzz right there. That's a hard hitting. Because if you really think about it, I'm not going to go as far as like calling people demons, but because I wouldn't even give them that kind of like power, you know what I'm saying? Like, they literally hide behind anonymous names, like Sonic pictures as their, profile pic. Like, bro, you can tell these motherfuckers only physical sensation comes from a pillow. Like, it's kind of sad to see that they would go on the internet and then just slander so many people, literally just trying to get a rise out of you. Don't listen to them comments. Don't even give them that kind of power. Demons. The hell?
With no cost to themselves. And I can identify these people quite accurately now. This will make a number of the people who are watching and listening uncomfortable because they'll be in the list of people who do this sort of thing.
We had a perfect name for them.
The first thing is they have an anonymous name. Hiding under a bridge with the warts. The second thing is the anonymous name usually has something psychologically significant about it in a very negative direction. So it's self-denigrating, or it's demonic, or it's otherwise offensive, and purposefully so. And then the people who are utter cowards, likely to be narcissists and Machiavellians, resentful.
Brand gets pegged 6969. Look at his face. He knows. Not that he gets pegged. He knows that that's the comments. That's the type of motherfucker that be typing them comments. That's the username. Brand gets pegged 6969. You know, you've seen it before. You agree.
People sitting in their basement at home, dwelling on their misery and doing everything they can to spew toxicity out into the world. Alone in their bedrooms, they're just isolated people who aren't causing any trouble. But as soon as they multiply themselves millions of times using this incredible, powerful computer technology, they're not even human anymore. In my estimation, they're literally a demonic force. And I mean that in a technical sense, right? You and I aren't exactly you and I in this conversation.
So he's saying like how I said earlier, how you can't even give them that much power, right? But since it's just armies of them, it's armies of them. If you guys play Magic the Gathering, I know, nerd. Anyway, I have this deck, right, where I get to make elementals. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you know anything about creating elementals, you know you can create loops and loops and loops of elementals if you get the right cards, right? Alone, they're not that strong. But if you have, like, one pretty strong creature that gets powerful every time you add a creature, and then every time you add a creature, you add more counters, so it makes the original creature stronger while also getting stronger based off of the character. Yo, it's just a loop. It's a loop. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is you can't whip me in D&D.
Conversation.
Magic.
Because we're amplified hundreds of times or thousands of times or hundreds of thousands of times. And so we're not just human. We're androids in some sense operating in a virtual space. And these online trolls have that power because they have access to an audience that they would never gather by their own merits. They are saying things that are derisive and inflammatory and that would absolutely 100% get them punched if they ever said it in public. Imagine that there's a hierarchy of unconstrained people and there's a variety of people who are...
Bro, it all started on the Xbox Live Call of Duty chats. Bro, nobody was really doing this shit. Nobody was brave enough to do this shit on the internet since the beginning of the internet. Well, I don't know. I was young. You know? I had other interests when I was young. But yeah, like, internet trolls have only been a thing for me since, like, middle school. Like, that's when I started noticing it. But, like, Xbox Live, bro, that is the most I've ever heard the hard R N-word. Ever. Like, nobody said it to my face, for the most part. Nobody's ever said it to my face. No, nobody's ever said it to my face, but I've heard it. I've heard it in person before, but nobody's ever said it to my face, right? But every time I hopped in a lobby, every time they heard my accent in a lobby, bro, my accent, it was on, right? And then I had to show them how the spawn trap worked. I wasn't that good. But I wish I could have showed them how the spawn trap worked, just to shut them up. You can call me a nigga, right? Go ahead. But you ain't getting in between the buses on Nuketown. You not getting out the front door. I know when you go to the orange house. I know when you go behind the greenhouse. I know when you're behind the car. I know when you're behind the garage. I got you locked down. Go ahead. Say everything you wanna. But all you finna hear is psh, psh, psh. The occasional reload. Alright.
Very unconstrained, but in normal social discourse would be able to keep themselves under control because of the controls that are there in normal social discourse. You lift those controls and they just go off. And so that's what we're seeing online. And that has to be stopped. I think the large tech companies should be required to put in know your customer laws. They should ban anonymous accounts, but in this way. Imagine that you have a section for comments where it's real human beings that are verified, and you have another section underneath that's for anonymous troll demons. And if you want to go visit their hell and see what their resentful minds are spewing into the public landscape, then you can. Otherwise, you stick to the real human beings. And I don't know if Musk and the other people who are running the big social media networks understand the pathology that's associated with this online commentary well enough to control it. So we'll see.
What I would like to draw your attention to, still sort of within the broad rubric of looking at Musk's acquisition of Twitter and how that may play out and how it may affect you personally. I was myself struck with, like, you know, I think the tweet that you were banned for was sort of like commenting on Elliot Page. How do we prioritize compassion, kindness, love? And can't this basic palette of principles prevent us from getting into conflict around these ideas?
Well,
Russell, are you trying to say that that's, like, possible on the internet? You think it's possible on the internet? I just think we haven't seen it yet. He's asking a genuine question here. I'm interested.
It isn't obvious to me that love can be reduced to compassion at all.
What could you do with a 3D printer? Introducing the Metal X, the easiest way for you to go.
Because for a variety of reasons. First of all, I think love is a multidimensional virtue. And there's many other virtues than compassion. Think about it this way, Russell. Imagine that the purest expression of compassion is the love of a mother for a true infant. We could really think about that as true compassion, 100% compassion. And the reason for that is that if you have an infant from birth to, say, 6 months old, nothing the infant does is ever to be questioned. The proper response to the infant is, whatever the cause of their distress, you immediately prioritize its reduction. But then as the child starts to develop, and as soon as it becomes capable of its own voluntary movement, as soon as it becomes ambulatory, its nervous system starts to change, of course. But then there are other elements that have to be introduced into the relationship.
You never seen a mom tell their baby to shut up? You never seen that? Shut the hell up! Like, you never seen that? Like, not once. That's still love. But mama tired. You know what I'm saying? Like, is that the difference between, sorry for the long pause, is that the difference between compassion and love? Is compassion like strictly the woohoo, like the fluffy duffy, the dream fantasy version of what we consider love is, and then true unconditional love sees you through all your faults? I wonder. Yeah, I think love is the answer. It's not compassion. We don't need compassion on the internet, because if we have that, it's gonna be fake. It's gonna be absolutely fake, and this shit is already fake. It's gonna be so goddamn fake. It's gonna be deep faked. It's literally gonna be a mask everywhere. Right? We need love. That's what we need. We need to see each other for our true selves, right? And, we have our own little pockets. If you don't want to witness somebody else's pocket, look up what you want to look up. We can exist in our own bubbles. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't have to necessarily be a bad thing until it's used wrong. We can live in our own bubbles. But then this whole cancel culture, calling people out for being toxic, for having their own opinions, when you were literally giving them a platform. You're hate watching. If you hate somebody, why do you watch all their I don't even watch. I like most of these people, right? Like Jordan Peterson, every time I see him in a clip, and that's all I see him in, are clips. I usually agree with what the fuck he's saying. He's not saying, like, he's not telling you to go out and kill people. He's not telling you to go out and snatch grandma purses and shit. He's literally saying, yo, it's kind of hard dating out here. You should, focus on not being with your mom at 30. That's literally what he's like. It's like his whole MO, damn near. You might get better luck at sex if you had your own place. Just saying. Like, that's the kind of angle he's going for. But he's like a little more different directions about it. Like, I don't understand how like, literally, remember the Andrew Tate thing that happened like a month ago? They made a whole slideshow, poorly done, by the way. Like, I could have made a slideshow like that freshman year of high school and got a B. I'm just saying. And this nigga got deplatformed. It's not like he needed the platforms, but they went out of their way to create slideshows. When literally, people, like, if you fuck with what he's saying, and if you truly understand what he's saying, you wouldn't really be on his nuts like that. You'd be go get in a bag. That's how it is. Like, that's what he wanted you to do. Get off your ass and go do shit, not sit on the internet and watch him. Like, if you were truly representing the culture, you just be focused on yourself. So, like, it's not like he was spreading toxicity. All these people that are like, he's brainwashing kids to do this and do that. He literally said, go exercise and get money. That's exercise and get money. It's like the top two things of what he said. I don't know. I don't know.
To make it a relationship of proper love.
Oh, no, I'm just a human.
And some of that's judgment,
but a lot of
which
people
is
often
considered antithetical to compassion.
Tell people what not to say.
And some of it's encouragement.
And I know that.
Encouragement has a fair bit of judgment in it, because when you're encouraging someone, you're not exactly being compassionate for who they are. You're doing what you can to facilitate who they could be. And what you're doing constantly when you're encouraging someone is prioritizing who they could be over who they are. And that's an element of judgment. And that judgment, you might say, if you're not thinking about it precisely from the religious perspective, is your own ability to decide which parts of you should go. Then the question is, are you compassionate for who you are, or are you compassionate for who you could be?
What was I just talking about? The difference between compassion and true unconditional love.
And the second is just as important, or maybe more important.
And when that's applied to the self, I can see that the requirement for this judgment, the great success you've had in, clean your room, stand up straight, these kind of edicts offered to young men or young people who require discipline, I can see the success of that. But Jordan, I feel that when it becomes an outward strike of like, this person should not have done this thing, this is the impact these actions will have on the culture, this will lead to this kind of denigration, this will lead to decisions that are, in my view, palpably wrong. I feel that this is where we have to redress an imbalance around compassion. I feel that Elliot Page should be able to do whatever Elliot Page wants to do, and that my only role is to say, I recognise that I don't understand, and why would I understand? There are less obvious things that you could never understand about me. They're less evident and obvious, and for me, the basic principle of kindness and compassion is going to be my guide when dealing with Elliot Page.
Wait, hold on. Let me see, because, hold on. Russell Brand reads a little more books than me. Hold on. Damn it, the mic is in the way. Yep. Sympathy and pity and concern of the suffering of... Is there another one? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think, okay. It's definitely not the way I was using it. Compassion seems to be a little more of like empathy. Yeah, I can see it. He's using it as a synonym here.
And when posting something about Elliot Page, I do have recourse to the idea of, what do I want Elliot Page to feel? Happy. Accepted. That's what I want Elliot Page to feel. And if there are aspects of that I don't understand, then I'm willing to take the hit.
When you think about your behavior on your YouTube channel, you're spending a lot of time in public criticism, and going after large corporations, going after those who are engaged in fascist collusion, and I think rightly so. I think that you're an extremely useful voice in that regard, and you're a critical voice, and you're a critical comedic voice, which is a good kind of critical voice, and not exactly compassionate, right? Because you're also using creativity on the humor side to make your point, and you're doing it in a playful way. And I think that playful criticism is the hallmark of the master critic. And I think the Joker and the Jester in that regard are master critics. But that's not compassion, right? That's a different virtue. And often it's very, very pointed. You do act as a social critic in many, many ways, and you do leaven it with comedy, and I think that's extraordinarily appropriate. It's part of what...
Yeah, you're not supposed to have too much empathy when you roast somebody. Damn near. Like, they just got to be able to take the joke.
It's given you such a broad voice, and that criticism is absolutely necessary. Now let's speak about Elliot Page more specifically. So the first thing I'd like to bring up is the fact that in the UK,
is a different brand
the Tavistock Clinic was recently closed. And that was the biggest clinic doing gender transformation surgery that operated in the British world. 1,000 of the 19,000 kids have now launched a lawsuit for medical malpractice. And when Elliot Page went online and showed off his or her new chest, she or he got 1.7 million Instagram likes. So then the question is, okay, compassion. Well, I think Elliot Page stepped over the line from victim to perpetrator, because when girls hit puberty, their negative emotion spikes and they develop bodily image problems, because neurotic, and that would be negative emotional experience for women is extremely tightly tied to body image. And so if you're a girl who is undergoing the hormonal changes that are going to elevate your negative emotion, which is what happens at puberty, you're going to be focused on body image. And if you're an unpopular girl and you're awkward socially, the probability that you're going to think something's wrong with your body is almost 100% if you're female.
But now the probability that people are going to coddle you when there's something clearly wrong with your body is 100%.
I can see what makes you angry about it. It's your analysis and it's your opinion that it's a powerful influencer. And
look, self-love is a powerful thing, but self-love should take a healthier form when it comes to certain things, especially in the body positivity community. Like, I'm not saying for the anorexic girl to just be ashamed of the way her body is. I'm not saying for the fat girl to just be ashamed of the way her body is, but to tell yourself that it is a healthy direction to go in and to lean further into it is delusional. That's all that is. Fat bitches need love too, Craig. Ain't nothing wrong with it, right? But when you get so voluptuous, you can't reach certain like regions of your body without losing your breath, there's a problem. When you're sleeping on your side and you're sleeping next to somebody, ain't nobody there, there's a problem. Like you gotta be able to tie your shoes without sweating. There's a problem.
It's going to lead people to make decisions that are going to be detrimental to their lives. But the evident and palpable anger, I feel, diminishes your position because now anger is in the conversation. I think you offer a great deal that is valuable and necessary, but I feel beyond the value and necessity of honesty, authenticity, and information that is underwritten by data and experience. I feel that it creates more opposition to approach a matter like this in the manner that you have done.
Better,
what are we going to anchor ourselves to ultimately, Jordan, navigating this space? Are we going to be participants in creating more and more ossified and oppositional camps, or are we going to create cartilage between us so that we can move between the room that Jordan Peterson is in and the room that Elliot Page is in and say, look, I believe in love, and I know it's complicated. I think you're beautiful and full of love. I really believe in that. And then when I sort of hear people being dismissive of you, it upsets me. It upsets me. And I see how you arm them. I feel that you arm them by sort of, in their language, dead naming Elliot Page. And I feel like why would you do that? It isn't necessary. It isn't necessary. Of course, it's the statistics you've cited about the Tavistock Clinic appear to speak for themselves. Is there a way that we can handle this that would be more akin to how we might imagine Christ would handle it? Otherwise, what's the point of Christianity? What's the point of Christianity if we're not going to embody Christ in our behavior?
Look,
a lot of people are straying further from Christianity.
We're operating is trying to get the tone
like
right,
further than ever.
You do that in part by paying attention to the audience, and you do that by trying to see how people are responding, and not in a way that's pandering, but in a way that's open and attentive. And it's a very difficult thing to get right. So the question you're asking is, well, when is anger appropriate? When is it not appropriate? When is it only inflammatory? That's a really hard question to answer, to get that balance between judgment and encouraging acceptance right. I suppose part of the problem is we don't know exactly how emotions scale in an online environment, right? And definitely I found that even when I'm delivering very cutting material, as I just wrote an article for The Telegraph on the upcoming privation that Europe is going to be facing and the rest of the world in the winter. And I tried to read it as calmly as I possibly could, even though it's extremely cutting. And the calm delivery seems to alienate fewer people and bring people in more than an angry delivery without any shift in semantic content. The right principle is probably something like minimal necessary force in your personal interactions and minimal necessary emotion in your online behavior. But it's hard to know exactly what that means. And it's not as if I think I've done it perfectly. I mean, you move like this towards that central line that hopefully is moving uphill.
Watch the entire episodes on demand for free at Rumble /.
I don't know. I was that kid that like half paid attention in class because my brain was wandering. But I'm gonna assume he was talking about stoicism towards the end of that. Like just kind of stay out of people's business, and you should be fine emotionally. Like your emotions should regulate pretty nicely when you're not taking on other people's emotions, especially if you don't know them, especially if the only way you know them is beyond a screen. It's just a thought. But yeah, W video. I left a like. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.